Like to call the meeting to order at 5 PM, and the board will be meeting in closed session to address items 1 to 3. At this time, I call for any public comment on closed session items.
There are none.
Seeing none, we will recess into closed session. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:05 p.m. as the board met in closed session and no action was taken. Good evening and welcome to the Elk Grove Unified School District's board meeting. Unless otherwise ordered by the Sacramento County Public Health Department, the state, or by the legal mandate, including AB 361 board resolution, the Board of Education has resumed full in-person board meetings. Live streaming of full in-person board meetings will be available to the public via Zoom platform. Today's meeting is being video recorded and will be available through the district's YouTube channel. Public comment update. There will be one public comment period during each regular board meeting after board recognitions that will include both items within the district's jurisdiction, but not on the board meeting agenda, and public comments on items on the board meeting agenda. The guidelines for in-person public comments and participation can be found on the table outside the boardroom and on the district's website. So today I will start with the first item, the Pledge of Allegiance, and I ask Mr. Cerruti to please lead us in the pledge.
Thank you, Madam President, and good evening to all. Please stand and remove hats, salute, and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is high school student representative reports, Cosumnes Oaks and Laguna Creek High School. And I'd like to call on Cosumnes Oaks to the podium, please.
Good evening, Board President Martinez-Alier, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. My name is Tinsai Berhanu.
And my name is JC Nagosic, and we're here representing Cosumnes Oaks High School.
This past April, our school had Discover CO, which was Cultural Week filled with performances from Polynesian Club, for example, and also a food fair, allowing students to support school clubs while enjoying delicious cultural foods. Speaking of clubs, our Student Equity Council continues to highlight the various cultures and ethnicities in our school through our monthly newsletter, as well as holding table stands during both lunches, where we advertise information about the soon-to-be official Student Bill of Rights, among other things that we are working on as a club. This week, LEAD is hosting a school-wide Spirit Week to spread and share cultures across community in front of the school, as well as performing a dance at the upcoming rally. Currently, our ASB is putting together some things for Staff Appreciation Week to celebrate all of our staff and teachers' devotion to their profession and their students. In line of Staff Appreciation Week, shout out to Ms. Corbin, who is our PBIS site coordinator, who works tirelessly to ensure all of her students are supported and heard on our campus. She and the rest of the PBIS team are working towards applying our school for gold recognition, and we also concluded the year with a TFI of 93% for Tier 1 and 80% for Tier 2. We're also having our last PBIS meeting tomorrow to wrap up our work for the school year and start thinking about our goals for the upcoming one.
And then as the end of the year comes upon us, we have many different activities planned for our seniors and the rest of our grade levels. May 1st was National Commitment Day, so we're planning a day that all of our seniors would be able to wear all their college gear as a sign-off and to celebrate where they're going to school next year. We've also had multiple senior nights across campus, such as men's volleyball, softball, and baseball, and as well as our theater department, which put on their last show of the year this week as Cinderella. Coming up, we have our spring formal, which will be held this Saturday and open for all grade levels. It's similar to a homecoming since we didn't get to have one in the beginning of the year, and all the students are really excited to have one this weekend. Next week, we have our first indoor rally, our annual senior goodbye rally, where the whole school will be able to participate in school traditions as we send our seniors off to Disneyland for their senior trip. We're also honoring all of our career technical education pathways at an awards night, where they will earn a stole and pin for completing all the required hours of work over the past 3 years. May 18th is our seniors' last day on campus before they graduate, so we're holding a Bring Your Parent to Lunch Day where all the seniors and their parents, as well as all the other grade levels, will be able to come on campus and participate in games and a couple other different activities. Remember that the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack. Thank you and have a great evening.
Thank you. Next up is Laguna Creek High School.
Good evening, Board President Martinez Alier, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Miss Avalos. My name is Kaya Delacruz.
And my name is Ella Haynes, and we're here representing Laguna Creek High School.
First, we would like to recognize all of our dedicated students who will be taking their IB and AP exams this month and have been relentlessly studying in order to achieve the best scores possible. We are proud of our unique IB learning experience and know we are ready for the exams.
Our IB Art Night took place on April 23rd and showcased our very own exceptional Cardinal artists. There was a broad range of ceramic pieces and paintings that were admired by parents, staff, and fellow LCHS students. Our mathletes had a great season, earning first place in several competitions and remain highly ranked in the region. Not to be outdone, our Science Olympiad team also represented well, competing at the state competition.
Our daily lunch performances from our 12 cultural clubs, just to name a few, including Pacific Island, Japanese, and Mecha Club, are the highlight of our student school days. The wide range of clubs celebrate a variety of cultures that are a part of our student body's different demographic backgrounds.
We held our senior prom on April 2nd at the Library Galleria downtown Sacramento. The prom was a huge success, and our student body was dressed in their best attire, and we sold over 350 tickets, with even underclassmen wanting to join in on the fun and purchase tickets themselves. Our junior prom is scheduled for this Saturday, May 7th, at the California Automobile Museum in Sacramento, California, and we have roughly 200 tickets sold as of today.
Laguna Creek lacking school spirit has never been a familiar concept, as we have even had our own indoor rally on April 22nd featuring the theme Dreamwork. A variety of performance by our Infinite Motion dance team, color guard, drumline, and skits made by our ASB program took place during the rally, while hundreds of students packed the room, excited to have a bit of normalcy for our current school year.
We are also very excited for our Color Splash dance that is planned to take place on Friday, May 13th, where students dress in all white and gather together in our quad to dance to fun music and throw holy, which is a color powder, into the air. We also had our senior commitment day last Friday, where parents and students were able to celebrate our seniors' achievements and commitment decisions during lunch as seniors walked across the stage with their school's poster to sign away their future.
Adding to our exceptional band program, our LCHS percussion has earned high marks in several of their competitions. With our color guard program improving by the second, the LCHS color guard participated in a national competition in April, ranking 16th in the country in their division, while also successfully placing first in several state competitions over the course of their season.
Our athletic performances this past semester have been extremely impressive. Our Lady Cardinals basketball team became Division II section champions on February 25th with a clutch win against Antelope High at the Golden One Center and headed to the state playoffs with a record of 26 wins and only 2 losses.
The crowd attendance was phenomenal as students, families, and even college scouts traveled down to Golden One Center to watch our Lady Cardinals basketball team. Our track and field team has been competing well with schools in and out of our division, with a strong 4x400 relay team leading the way.
Our varsity girls swim team never disappoints as they won league this past week. Let's not forget about our remarkable wrestling team who also won league, as well as they sent 3 students to CIF state championship, with Oriana Castix leading the way and taking 6th place out of the whole state competition.
Our boys golf remains undefeated and won league, closing out a successful season with 3 Cardinal golfers earning all league recognition. Despite this school year being everything but normal, the activities, academic and athletic achievements, and the opportunity to experience in-person learning between students and staff has paved the way for a very successful year. It is Teacher Appreciation Week, and we are thankful for and appreciate our LCHS staff for providing a wonderful learning experience for our Cardinals.
We really appreciate our board, district, and school staff for a great end to the 2021-22 school year. Go Cardinals.
I'd like to recognize the principals from these school sites, Johnny Howdigi, principal of Cosumnes Oaks, and Mark Benson, principal of Laguna Creek High School. Thank you, students, for the report. You may be dismissed now to go work on some homework. The next item is resolutions. And it's classified school week. I'd like to call on Amerik Singh. And if there's any blue cards at this time. Is there any?
Good evening, Board President Dr. Martinez Alera, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, Ms. Avalos. It is my pleasure to request the board to adopt Resolution 68, 2021-2022, which establishes classified school employees week for the Elk Grove Unified School District as May 15th to May 21st of 2022. The California legislature passed a measure in 1986 establishing classified school employees week to recognize the valuable contributions and meaningful services that classified employees make to our schools. In honor of this event, the Elk Grove Unified School District Board of Education is asked to approve the resolution. Currently, the Elk Grove Unified School District has almost 3,000 contracted classified employees who serve our district every day. In honor of Classified Employees Week, school sites and departments will be celebrating their classified staff the week of 15th to the 21st with multiple events planned throughout the departments and site. With that, it is my humble request for the board to approve Resolution 68, which establishes Classified School Employees Week for the Elk Grove Unified School District as May 15th to the 21st for 2022.
I'd like to call for a motion to approve resolution number 68, which establishes classified school employees week in the Elk Grove Unified School District as May 15th through the 21st, 2022.
So moved.
Seconded.
I have a motion and second. I'll conduct a roll call vote. Ms. Nguyen?
Aye.
Mr. Yang?
Aye.
Ms. Albiani?
Aye.
Ms. Jamerson?
Aye.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Mr. Forcina?
Aye.
And myself is an aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next resolution up is National Mental Health Awareness Month. Is there any blue cards on this item? No? Right? Okay. And Don Ross. Thank you.
Good evening, Board President, Dr. Martinez Alir, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman and Ms. Avalos. So I'm here tonight to present to you resolution number 67, recognizing May as National Mental Health Awareness Month. Mental Health Awareness Month raises awareness of trauma and the impact it can have on the physical, emotional, and mental well-being of children, families, and communities. Mental Health Awareness Month was established in 1949 to increase awareness of the importance of mental health and wellness and to celebrate recovery from mental illness. Mental health is essential for a person's overall health. Prevention works, treatment is effective, and people can recover from mental disorders and live full and productive lives. The Mental Health America is inviting health organizations and school districts to join in spreading the word that mental health is something everyone should care about. To support the efforts to increase awareness of mental illness and emphasize the importance of mental health, we will be sharing the MHA toolkit along with information and resources from the National Alliance on Mental Illness with our sites and community. In addition, we will continue to inform our students, families, and staff of the available resources within EGUSD as well as within our local communities. I ask the board to please adopt Resolution 67, recognizing May as Mental Health Awareness Month.
I'd like to call for a motion to approve resolution number 62nd, which recognizes May 2022 as National Mental Health Awareness Month.
I move approval of resolution number 67. I'll second it.
We will conduct a roll call vote. Ms. Nguyen?
Aye.
Mr. Yang? Ms. Albiani?
Aye.
Ms. Jamerson?
Aye.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Mr. Forcina?
Aye.
Myself is an aye. Thank you. Next up, you're here to the podium again, National Foster Care Month.
Thank you. So I'm here also tonight to present resolution number 69, recognizing May as National Foster Care Month. This year's theme is relative and kin connection, keeping families strong. Families, public and private agencies, community organizations, and individuals provide a valuable support and encouragement to youth in the foster care across the nation, the state, and our district. During the month of May, Elk Grove Unified School District would like to honor the contributions of our local resource and kinship families, educators, community partners, and service providers who contribute to the stability, educational achievement, and emotional and physical well-being of youth in foster care. This is also the time to raise awareness of the challenges that many students in foster care face and how the collective efforts of caring adults can make an impact on their lives. I ask the board to please adopt Resolution 69, recognizing May as National Foster Care Month.
I'd like to call for a motion to approve resolution number 69, which recognizes May 2022 as National Foster Care Month.
So moved.
Second.
I'll conduct a roll call vote. Ms. Nguyen,
Aye.
Ms. Albiani,
Aye.
Ms. Jamerson,
Aye.
Mr. Perez,
Aye.
Mr. Forcina,
Aye.
Mr. Yang.
Aye.
Myself is an aye. Thank you.
You.
The next resolution is Hmong American Day, and I'd like to call on Ms. Soriano to see if there are any public comments related to Zoom on this item.
Yes, Madam Board President, Dr. Martinez-Hillier, there is one public comment on Zoom on this particular item. Would you like to have that person come in now?
Yes.
So on public comment for resolution item number 4, we have a Miss Marie Vu.
Hello,
Hi,
good
we can-
evening. Hello, good evening. My name is Marie Vu. I'm calling in asking for your support in adopting resolution 4, Hmong American Day. For more than 27,000 Hmongs in the county of Sacramento, May 14th is a day of remembrance, a day of reflection, a day to mourn, and a day to celebrate. Many families found freedom, but that freedom came with a painful past. Between 30 to 40,000 Hmong men and boys, some as young as 10 years old, died fighting alongside United States soldiers during the Secret War. Approximately 50,000 Hmong civilians were killed or wounded. It is critical that we teach future generations to understand the sacrifices made in service and adopt this day as a day to recognize the history, the culture, and the contributions of Hmong Americans. Thank you.
Madam President,
Yes.
before we move forward, in addition to that, we do have some Hmong Americans representing their community tonight, if
We-
they might stand.
We do have
Okay.
some public comments
Oh,
from the blue
okay,
cards. Yes.
very good.
That's where we were going next.
All right.
If we can have Mr. Yang announce any of the blue card public comments.
Yeah, Madam Chair, we do have 3 blue card on this item. Calling Gao Yang, followed by Leo Lee.
Okay, well, good evening, members of the board president, and superintendent. My name is Dao Yang. I'm a teacher, a member of the Hmong community, and also one of the leaders in the Hmong community in the Greater Sacramento County. I would really appreciate the board for recognizing the Hmong's contribution to the United States of America in the Secret War in Laos during the Vietnam War by making May 14 the Hmong American Day for Elk Grove Unified School District. This monumental moment means a lot to the Hmong community and myself, especially as an educator. By acknowledging our parents' sacrifice for the Americans' freedoms during the Vietnam War, our children, as well as children of the community at large, will have a better understanding of the Hmong people and why we are here in America. As a product of the Americans' amazing school system, who came from nothing in the refugee camps of Thailand, to having a BA in sociology, in education, a master in education, a teaching credential, a post-baccalaureate education in biological sciences, as well as being a teacher. I can attest that our education system, which includes the amazing Elk Grove Unified School District, is the place where children from all socioeconomic background can thrive and achieve their dreams and their future plans. I believe this resolution will further inspire Hmong students in the Elk Grove Unified School District to do better in school, as well as strengthening Hmong's parents' involvement in school activities in support of the Unified School District. And I would encourage you all to adopt that resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. It's Laura Lee, followed by Mayor Foster. Good evening, Board President, Dr. Martinez, and the rest of the members. My name is Leo Lee. I'm one of the first generation Hmong American in this country. Thank you very much, America, for giving us the opportunity to live the American dream in this country. However, many of us live in this country very successful, and some of them are very, some of them are not as successful as we would like them to be. Anyway, we do live it for 40 plus years in this country. So a Hmong Day on May 14th will mean a lot to us, for our children, our great grandchildren, to understand why Hmong became a Hmong America, where we come from, why we're here. So I'll ask the board, please approve the article, the resolution for that day. It means a lot to the Hmong community and the Hmong America. Thank you.
Up next is Mayor Foster.
Good morning, everyone, or sorry, good evening. My name is Mia Foster. I'm here tonight in support of Resolution 71, recognizing May 14th as Hmong American Day in our school district. In other parts of this country, the sacrifices of the Hmong and our enduring alliance with America is commemorated on May 14th. It's the day that Long Chang, the US Hmong Air Base in Laos, and also the busiest airstrip in the world at that time, fell 47 years ago. Now, California is home to the largest Hmong population in the United States, and the Sacramento region has the second highest concentration of Hmong people next to the Fresno metro area. And within Sacramento County, Elk Grove maintains the second largest Hmong population. And since our arrival in the Sacramento region in the late 1970s, the Hmong have experienced growth and progress, including, but not limited to, political and civic life. So we aren't just survivors, we are thrivers. And so tonight I speak in support of Resolution 71 as the granddaughter of a first lieutenant and assistant company commander killed on October 15th, 1972, fighting alongside America during the Secret War. When Long Chang fell 2.5 years later, the graves of hundreds, if not thousands, of the Hmong, including my grandfather, were desecrated for our stand against tyranny. Tonight, I speak in support of Resolution 71 as a daughter of Hmong refugees who bore the brunt of a war that ended in persecution and genocide against what some call America's greatest allies during the Vietnam War. My father was a second lieutenant, and after Long Chang fell, both he and my mother trekked for 13 days through body-littered mountains and crossed into Thailand, where they lived in the impoverished confines of a refugee camp until they came to America in 1979. Boarding that plane headed for this country, my mom actually thought America was a place in the sky. Tonight, I speak in support of Resolution 71 as a first-generation Hmong American who grew up during the acclimation period of the 80s and the 90s, where the Hmong diaspora struggled in virtual silence. Our service to this country was kept secret and our stories untold, and as a result, our presence here was often misunderstood and sometimes outright rejected. And tonight, I speak in support of Resolution 71 as a mother raising young men in Elk Grove Unified School District. It is the next generation's connection to their history and heritage that will ensure that this world inherits a future steeped in inclusivity. And it is our responsibility to cultivate that connection. And so I ask you to adopt Resolution 71. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ends the book call for this item.
I'll call on Ms. Soriano to present the resolution.
Thank you, Madam Board President, Dr. Martinez Aliri, members of the board, Superintendent Hoffman, and Ms. Avalos. May 14, Hmong American Day, is a time to remember and honor Hmong people's history, stories, and contributions in the Vietnam War, May 14th, 1975. This day also marks the last airlift evacuation of Hmong soldiers and families from Laos to a refugee camp in Thailand. Since then and today, Hmong Americans are helping build a vibrant and diverse California, contributing socially, politically, and economically to our state. Many of the Hmong have become America's success stories, from having nothing to becoming teachers, engineers, nurses, doctors, lawyers, professional athletes, firefighters, soldiers, elected officials, and more. May 14th recognizes and celebrates the history, culture, and contributions of Hmong Americans in California. The Board of Education is asked to adopt Resolution Number 71, recognizing May 14th, 2022 as a time to remember and honor Hmong people's history, stories, and contributions in the Vietnam War on May 14th, 1975.
So at this time, I'd like to call for a motion to approve resolution number 71, recognizing May 14th, 2022 as a time to remember and honor Hmong people's history, stories, and contributions in the Vietnam War on May 14th, 1975.
So move.
Do I have it?
Second.
I'll conduct a roll call vote. Ms. Nguyen,
Aye.
Ms. Jamerson,
Aye.
Mr. Perez,
Aye.
Mr. Forcina,
Aye.
Mr. Yang,
Aye.
Ms. Albiani. Aye. And myself is an aye. And I believe Mr. Yang wanted to make a comment at this time, and then also Mr. Forcina.
Mr. Fosita, did you want to go first?
Sure, thank you. I would just like to, by way of reminder, and in particular for our new board members, to remind them that in addition to the work we've done in curriculum department to enhance the information we provide to staff and kids on Day of Remembrance for Japanese Americans, we've also developed materials that focus on the Secret War. And those materials are made available to staff as they do their instruction each year.
Anyone else?
Anyone else? No, Mr. Yang.
Thank you. First, I would like to say thank you to the community members that are showing support for this resolution. And thank you for my fellow board members for your votes to pass this resolution. I am grateful. I would like to read a letter that I prepare for the month of May, being AAPI Heritage Month, and also for this resolution, the Hmong American Day. Asian American and Pacific Islander have a long history in the United States, starting back as far as 1760s with the Chinese and Filipino immigrants. Many other Asian immigrants continue to come to the United States, include the Japanese immigrants and Asian immigrant groups that came later in the 1970s, like the Mien, Lao, and Hmong. The well-known contribution the AAPI had contributed in the United States was the railroad built by the Chinese immigrants, estimated roughly 15,000 Chinese workers. Today, I want to acknowledge not just the Chinese Americans, but all the AAPI groups for their contribution in making the United States a vibrant, economically stronger country. I am forever grateful for each contribution. The month of May has been officially by law designated the whole month of May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month in the United States since 1992 to reflect and recognize the contributions and influence of Asian Americans and Pacific Islander Americans to the history, cultural achievements of the United States. Today is another recognition add to that history. Today is a historic day for the Hmong American people, especially the 4,000 Hmong students, the parents, and every Hmong in Elk Grove Unified School District. The Hmong is among the many other AAPI that had helped build and protect this great country we call the United States of America. Today, as a part of the long list of AAPI groups that had their share of contribution to this country, I am thrilled and very honored to say that Elk Grove Unified School District Board of Education has voted to pass the Hmong American Day resolution, which from this coming May 14, 2022 going forward will be designated as Hmong American Day to reflect and recognize the contribution and sacrifice the Hmong had contributed during the Vietnam War, also known as the Sicker War. I want to commend the Hmong people for their courage as a minority group in Laos who share the same belief and ideology of the American people to have democracy and freedom. Today, I'm asking each one of us to acknowledge and recognize the brave Hmong soldiers, approximately 30,000 to 40,000, who were killed in fighting with the United States during the Vietnam War, and their family on every May 14 going forward. And know that the Hmong are here to stay and be a part of making the United States of America a better America by being farmers, teachers, engineers, doctors, lawyers, soldiers, firefighters, healthcare workers, professional athletes, elected officials, and the list goes on and on. God bless, and thank you everyone for coming, and thank you for my board members for voting yes on this resolution. Thank you.
Did he say mayor?
Thank you, Ms. Soriano. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Yang, I'd like to include not only those occupations, the first mayor of Elk Grove, Steve Lee, was an Asian, and other people who followed him are presently participating in their civic engagement in this county and throughout California and the Southwest, wherever they settle. They're good examples of citizens throughout the United States, and they have proven themselves, as you mentioned, and they still do today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right on, Bruce.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is student expulsion and voluntary transfer recommendations. I'd like to call for a motion to approve the recommendation for the student expulsion.
Move approval of the recommendation.
I have a second. Ms. Jamerson, second, and I'll conduct a roll call vote. Mr. Perez,
Aye.
Mr. Forcina,
Aye.
Mr. Yang,
Aye.
Ms. Albiani,
Aye.
Ms. Jamerson,
Aye.
and myself is an aye. Thank you. The next item on the public comment is items for not on the agenda, and I'd like to call on Ms. Soriano to see if there's any public comment via Zoom audio for items not on the agenda.
Yes, Madam Board President, Dr. Martinez-Elier, there are 3 public comments for items not on the agenda. The first one is from Lisa Stanley, followed by Ms. Laureen Pryor, followed by Ms. Heather Morris Washington.
My name is Lisa Stanley. I'm a strong advocate for Black students and their families to be treated with the same love and tolerance that all other communities are granted. Studies prove that Black students are pushed out, harassed, discriminated against, and looked over on your campuses at higher rates than all other communities. But you all know this. You continue to cultivate the environments that allow this because there are no consequences or strong leadership that will stand against it. Not only have we been shedding the light on this issue for years, but your very own statistics prove it. Today, this is another conversation. All non-Black people need to start having the hard truth conversations of anti-Blackness that is rampant in their homes, workplaces, churches, nonprofits deemed to be helping the community, and every other space you feel comfortable. I'm here to tell you your time is almost up. There is no way you will treat the Black community for 400 plus years the way you have and come out unscathed. Everyone knows what they are doing and there is a price to pay. Ignorance is no longer an excuse when information is so readily available. It's time to have some damn courage and get on the right side of justice. Stand up in these spaces and do what is right. Stop caring what people will think of you. Your time is running out. The law and cause of effect is undeniable. That's it for me.
Good evening, everyone. Lorraine Pryor with Black Youth Leadership Project. I wanted to put a note in about National Mental Health Awareness because I didn't get in early enough. The gaslighting that I'm seeing your administrators do to Black families when they bring you concerns, that also contributes to their mental health and whether or not they can move forward and not feel traumatized by your administrators and your teaching staff. I've been able to be a part of a couple of conversations in the last week. I want to thank Principal Albiani for finally having that group meeting with the parents of the brawl, those who participated in the brawl on that conversation or on that campus, and allowing me to facilitate that conversation. What is apparent to me is that you all need to hire people who are not scared of Black families and or bringing them together. There is a communication gap. There is a cultural gap. There are some things happening that your administrators and your teachers may not be comfortable with doing. That is why it is so important that you start to invite your community in to help you. I've been trying to help y'all for a very, very long time. As a matter of fact, even last year, I submitted a proposal for you. However, you all continue to not want to take me up on my help. But you know what? There was another district who was watching me and I'm in their district now. So I want to thank you for letting go of Mr. Field Ridley, who now he's over in another school district and he came back to get me because of the work that I did over at his school, Charles Mack. You all have to get serious about stopping some of this foolishness that is rampant on your campuses. I am aware of a teacher on Monterey Trails campus who I will be scheduling a meeting with. I am aware of her making a mockery of a Black student in front of the whole class, talking about Black people's hair is nasty and filthy and dirty and it stinks, and proceeded to put her filthy, disgusting hands in that child's head. Understand, I will be on that campus to talk to that teacher. Additionally, what I need you all to understand is that we are not going away. So you should probably figure out a way to work with us, or we will continue to be the burden in your side, the Achilles heel for you, because there is something to be said when someone is offering you help. You should probably accept it because you don't know what you're doing, and we do. So I'm just going to put that out there one more time. All the gaslighting through the emails that I see your staff engaged in, all of the not taking students seriously. You have administrators who don't know how to talk to teachers. I'm going to need y'all to do something different because what you're doing is not working for me and it is not working for the Black families in your district. So that I will leave because I noticed you started my time late, but I will end on that note. Thank you.
I don't think we have the last speaker. Was that Miss Heather Washington? Okay, so she's not on the call. Is that the end of public comments? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, the next, after the Zoom public comments, are any blue cards for items not on the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have two. Next is Mandeep Singh. Okay, Parmeet Kurt. If I pronounce your name or last name wrong, please correct me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Parmeet Kaur. I'm on the board of Sikh Honor Service Society at Sheldon High School. We have chapters at close to 70 high schools throughout the state of California, and our club is a part of a larger organization called Jagada Movement. Sikh Honor Service Society is a statewide program aimed at promoting and honoring service, leadership, and academic excellence among high school students. The past month in April, Sikhs among all the world celebrated Vaisakhi. Sikhs celebrate Vaisakhi as the creation of Khalsa. The Khalsa is a collective of committed Sikhs, both male and female, who are the leaders and defenders of the Sikh way. The Khalsa was created to fight oppression and uphold freedom and basic needs such as food, clothing, health, and education for all people. Every Sikh should aim to join the Khalsa one day. Our SHSS clubs throughout California have also been celebrating Vaisakhi. We have worked with our admins to do morning announcements about Sikhi and Vaisakhi. We have also been tabling during lunches to tell our fellow students about our background and our cultures. Also, we have put up posters throughout our schools about Vaisakhi and about Sikhs to educate our student body, and we have held discussions with our fellow students about Vaisakhi and what it means to be a Sikh in this day and age, and also our responsibilities towards our community. This movement works to empower our community throughout the state of California, and we will continue to raise the voice of our communities and build inclusive and equitable spaces with our neighbors in Oak Grove, California and beyond. We hope to work with the district so next year we can celebrate Vaisakhi together district-wide with all of our students and community here in Oak Grove. Thank you for your time.
Deep Singh.
Hello, board. Thank you for allowing us the time. I just want to start off with recognizing the speakers earlier. Oftentimes us as immigrant communities, right? We think our history begins with when our family moved here to America, right? Especially for Sikhs, we have this kind of thought process of that. It was really a wave in the 80s, like a big wave, but our people first landed in San Francisco in the late 1800s. As the Chinese folks worked on the railroads, our folks worked alongside with them. We've been here for over 100 years now. And the first ever Gurdwara, which is our house of worship, was built here in America, was built in Stockton, just down the street over here on 99. And, I bring this up to say that all these rights that we enjoy today as immigrant communities, these are built on the backs of the Black civil rights movement of the 60s and all the things they have done before. So I do want to recognize the folks that were speaking about the issues that the district is facing. I would encourage you all to sit down and listen to those students directly, right? The reason I say that is because, as Parmeet just mentioned, all this amazing stuff they've been doing on campus all around the state, is actually they are the ones who are leading all of this, right? Well, I'm just here as a community organizer helping them. I coordinate all the high schools around Sacramento. We have other folks working throughout the state like this, but I tell them, we learn more from them than we can ever teach them, because to be a student in this day and age is so difficult. I've come up as a student when I moved here to America, and I know what the pain these folks are talking about, in those Zoom comments, and the gaslighting that gets done, not by maybe the whole school, but by certain folks at the school, right? So with that, I would just, I just want to say to the students, we're really proud of you. Thank you for attending the school board. This is part of their checklist item. So they have like different things that they have to do, such as like attend a school board meeting, watch basics of Sikhi videos, which are available on YouTube, this amazing organization from England. There's a lot of civic engagement work they've been doing. The redistricting maps that just got done with Elk Grove here, this was our students making the community aware of what, for the last year and a half, of what redistricting even is. Most folks to this day still don't even know, right? It was our students, Parinaz there, who made public comments at the redistricting meetings, right? So I just want to recognize the hard work all of these students have been doing here in Elk Grove and all around the state as well. And, like Parmeet said, we hope to work with you all to bring Vaisakhi, which is the most important holiday for Sikhs throughout the year, on a district-wide level. Obviously, they're doing it at individual schools and whatnot, but yeah, you expect emails from me. I would love to sit down with you all one-on-one, maybe have a Starbucks coffee or something, or on Zoom, and let you all know more about what Jakarta movement does, what Sikh Honors and Service Society does at these high schools. Thank you very much.
Excuse me. We need people like you. And what's happening in our agenda is coming up. We need to develop a network with your community. So we want to keep you in that network, that community connection, and your age group and the students, because it looks like to me you're a great role model.
I'm learning from them.
Well, it takes two ways.
Yeah, totally.
Education is two ways: listening and talking and interpreting and all that.
Totally.
But please keep in touch with our staff here, the superintendent, and everything, and keep us informed of all these activities. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. The appropriate staff will follow up. Thank you. The next item, is there any other blue cards? There's none, right?
No, ma'am.
So seeing none, the next item is the consent agenda. I'd like to call for a motion to approve items 1 through 15 on the consent agenda.
I move approval of the entire consent agenda.
Second.
I'll conduct a roll call vote. Ms. Nguyen,
Aye.
Mr. Forcina,
Aye.
Mr. Yang,
Aye.
Ms. Albiani, Ms. Jamerson,
Aye.
Mr. Perez,
Aye.
and myself is an aye. And I'd like to call for a 5-minute recess break before we go to the next item.
projects to possibly do?
I don't want to dismiss one item that was on here, which was our bargaining units. I wasn't sure. Are there any bargaining units that wish to address the board? I just want to make sure. Okay, seeing none, then Mr. Cerruti will be on our discussion item about the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program draft.
Thank you, Madam President, and good evening to you and good evening to the board members, Superintendent Hoffman and Ms. Avalos, and to all those tuning in this evening. This is the second of presentations related to expanded learning, and we intentionally have done this over a series of reports just because of the size and scope and, quite frankly, some of the complexities that are associated with it. So there will be some repeat information, but we're also building on that leading up to our plan to have this on the consent agenda at the next board meeting on the 17th with the recommendation that the board approves our plan. And so the presentation format will have some timeline and requirement information, a bit about legislation, some definitions in the intent of expanded learning, bit of funding information and opportunity information. And I'll be joined this evening, as I have been, by Ms. Erin Sipes, who is our district's lead administrator and point person for all things expanded learning. And so the approval timeline, we had a presentation on the 19th. This evening, we're having a follow-up presentation with a bit further information. The plan has been posted for public comment and will be tomorrow, and then run through the 16th. And then, as I mentioned, we're hopeful that it will be approved by the board on consent on May 17th. The requirement, as it's noted, is that the plan must be approved by you, the Board of Education, in a public meeting and posted on our district's website. And the posting is following the approval. What's not required, but what we are doing is affording the public an opportunity to provide feedback. Thus, we are posting it on our district's website. And I just want to make a point that the state template, and this isn't a criticism, when we're trying to post that template, there were a few of board members who contacted me when we provided it to the board. Just it can be somewhat challenging potentially depending upon and I'm going to get way over my skis technologically, but if folks were opening it in Chrome versus Adobe and some of those types of things. So we provided a bit of information actually on the website in terms of how to make sure that folks have easy access to it and can readily navigate that document.
No problem.
A bit about the legislation. So we discussed this at the last meeting, and that is just to remind everyone that there are two grant sources. There's the AB 130 that is specific to the ELOP, the plan, and that's what we are focusing on now. AB 86 was the Expanded Learning Opportunities Grant. That's funding that we previously had that was funding some of the things that we are currently doing and actually extend out. And later on in the presentation, we're bringing a simple graph back that notes that, and then we'll talk about the changes to actually our what that will mean in terms of expanding staffing, expanding opportunities for kids, and also just the expansion of departments and alignment. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Sipes, who's going to walk you through definition and further information.
Thank you. So this definition of expanded learning comes directly from the California Department of Education. They define expanded learning as meaning before and after school programs, summer or intersession learning programs that focus on developing the academic, social, emotional, and physical needs and interests of pupils through hands-on engaging learning experiences. So that's what we're guiding our planning process through. The Expanded Learning Opportunities Program is the new grant funding through AB 130. And the intent of that is that all local education agencies offer all unduplicated pupils in classroom-based instructional programs access to comprehensive after-school and intersessional expanded learning opportunities. So that is defined in California Education Code 46120. And with all expanded learning programs, it is the intent of the legislator that all expanded learning programs are pupil-centered, results-driven, include community partners, and complement but do not replicate learning activities in the regular school day and school year. So when we were building our expanded learning opportunities program plan, all of those elements have been considered. For the 22-23 school year, the expectation for, you'll see that acronym there, ELOP, for the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, is that all local education agencies must offer to all transitional kindergarten and kindergarten through 6th grade classroom-based unduplicated pupils an expanded learning opportunities program and provide access to 50% of those TK and K through 6 enrolled classroom-based unduplicated pupils. So we need to have programs to offer to all students who qualify as unduplicated. They don't necessarily have to take us up on that offer, but we need to provide access for at least 50% of those students. And when we say unduplicated, we're referring to a pupil that's enrolled in a school district who is classified as an English learner, is eligible for free or reduced price meals, or is a foster youth. So the current language for the ELO programming is, this is taken directly from the Ed Code. On school days, must provide in-person before and or after school expanded learning opportunities that when added to daily instructional minutes are no less than 9 hours of combined instructional time and expanded learning opportunities per instructional day. So when a student attends their core instructional day, including recess and lunch, and then we add the before and after school opportunities, it should equal at least 9 hours. And that will be offered every day that school's in session. So for our year-round schools, we're planning for 228 instructional days. And for our traditional and modified traditional schools, we're planning for 180. It's 228 for the year-round schools to go across all 4 tracks and 180 for the traditional and modified traditional sites. In addition to the 9 hours a day for regular school days, it's also required that we operate at least 30 non-school days during intersessional periods of no less than 9 hours of in-person expanded learning opportunities per day. So this would include summer offerings. It would include intersession periods for our year-round school sites. It could also include, you can divide those 30 days up. So for example, we could do a spring break camp at our traditional sites where students would be able to attend during spring break if that was an option that schools opted for. Those programs are 9 full hours of expanded learning programming because those would be non-school days when there's not extra instructional minutes happening. And that requirement aligns with the fiscal year. So it starts July 1st and ends June 30th of the following school year. Programs can be offered before or after school, and those components can be offered on one or multiple school sites within the local education agency. The Ed Code requests that we prioritize programs at school sites in lowest income communities as determined by our prior year percentages of pupils eligible for free and reduced price meals, while maximizing the number of schools and neighborhoods with programs. Our plan, we mentioned at the last board meeting that we are not yet fully funded for the ELOP. There's additional funding that the state has called for that's going to be coming in by 2025. So as funding increases, we'll be able to add additional programs. What we're prioritizing first is the school sites where we have our existing ACES programs, increasing capacity within those programs. Those programs are funded based on the number of students who qualify for free and reduced price meals. So those programs tend to be in our lowest income communities. Our second tier that we're going to fund and create programs for are looking at additional Title I school sites that do not yet have an ACES program, but have a high population of students who qualify for free and reduced price meals, and also looking at regional programs so that we can do that last bit there of making sure that we are maximizing the number of schools and neighborhoods with programs. So looking at schools within each region that could support neighboring schools and give students access to a program. Every student is eligible to participate. The district is able to charge fees, but cannot charge fees to homeless youth, youth in foster care, or students who are eligible to free and reduced price meals. Family fees may be approved on a sliding scale. So this is an option. the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program plan that has been posted that hopefully you had a chance to look at does not get into the level of detail of whether the district will be charging fees, but this is what the ed code says so that you have all the information. We also need to make sure that our program operates at a 20-to-1 student to staff ratio for grades 1 through 6. And for transitional kinder and kindergarten, it should be a 10-to-1 student to staff ratio. So this is the evolution of the fundings for 21-22. There was $1 billion in ongoing funding that was budgeted through the 2021 Budget Act. There was additional $754 million in one-time Proposition 98 general fund money. So there was $1.75 billion total that was put towards the ELO program for the 21-22 school year. The intent is that all LEAs will provide all students in low-income communities with no-cost access to 9 hours of developmentally appropriate academics and enrichment activities by 2025-2026, when it is fully funded. Additionally, all local education agencies, regardless of community demographics, are encouraged to offer subsidized services to all students using a fee schedule that considers family income and ability to pay. So the legislation is telling us that they want access for after-school programs and before-school programs for all youth, universal access. For 22-23, the governor's proposed budget proposes an additional $3.4 billion in ongoing Proposition 98 general fund money, bringing the total to $4.4 billion. That's the proposed budget, so we don't have the final budget yet. Additionally, there's $937 million in one-time Proposition 98 funds to support the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program infrastructure with a focus on integrating arts and music programming into the enrichment options for students. So the funding for that, hoping that it comes to fruition, will be 75% or more of it needs to be spent on visual and performing arts being integrated into these Expanded Learning Opportunities programs after school. 75%, so it's for infrastructure and BAPA, but 75% of it, minimum of 75% will go to BAPA. Up to 25% of our allocation could go to infrastructure. And by infrastructure, we mean, for example, if we're serving our transitional kindergarten students and we have to use a classroom that's set up for larger kids, we might need to buy little chairs. So things like that would be included in our infrastructure. I'm sorry, what was that, sir? So that would be part of the visual and performing arts. If we needed instruments for the music and art, all the supplies, that could be included, yes. Okay, the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program is based on the program standards being aligned with the after-school education and safety program. So that we already have in our district. It's already operating at 17 elementary schools and 3 middle schools. Some of the elements of those programs include education and literacy enrichment that happens daily. Snacks and meals are served, healthy snacks and meals through our Food and Nutrition Services Department. And we have a program plan that's evaluated a minimum of every 3 years with elements including training, integration with the school day and other opportunities, community collaboration, physical activity, fiscal accountability, data collection to support quality improvement process. And we review plans every 3 years, including the program goals, content, and outcome measurements. So when all of these programs come to fruition, it should look like a single comprehensive program. So even though they may be funded out of ACES, 21st Century, and ELOP for the community, we'll just braid that funding and it should look like a single comprehensive program. Some of the opportunities that this creates for us, we have the opportunity to provide additional supports for students. So we are starting to look at MTSS tier 1 and 2 supports that can be integrated into our ELOP. So for students who are attending after school, it gives us extra hours of intervention as needed with those students, extra time with them. English learner instructional coaches will support professional learning for the staff of the ELOP, planning, program development, to provide after-school support for English learners, which is one of the target groups to attend the programs. We also have the opportunity for integration of visual and performing arts into after-school programs. So enrichment is already a primary component of ELOP, but there's also that additional funding in the governor's budget proposal that's earmarked specifically for art and music in after-school. We'll have additional infrastructure for sites, so some funding will be used to purchase additional infrastructure to serve our TK and our kindergarten students. And there's additional support for school sites. Vice principals who oversee the after-school program can be funded through the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program funds, which allows integration of the after-school program with the regular day, and also enables the district to continue to fund, and in some cases even to increase, school administrators beyond the ESSER funding.
Thank you, Erin. We just wanted to do just a couple of additional slides. This is, again, just gives a visual representation of the funding. So you can see the one-time monies that were infused into our system, and you can see the ongoing funding. And I think a point that's really important is that the governor's proposed budget, we're still waiting on that. And so Superintendent Hoffman referenced this as an example of building the plane while flying, and that certainly is the case. And I just also want to make the point that the plan itself, if the public is going in and reading the plan and believes what they're going to find is a detailed example of every school and all the programs that are there, that's not what this plan is intended to be. This plan is intended to be, at this point, there's a lot of detail in it, but it's really intended to be more of an explanation of what those site level plans will include. And lastly, we just want to point to, with that increased level of funding, what this is really going to mean. So as it indicates that we are currently providing direct support to 23 after-school programs, and we see this expanding in time to 50 programs once we are under full implementation. We have 14 site administrators and 9 community partners that staff current programs at full implementation. That will be a substantial increase. And as it notes, we projected out to be an estimated 500 additional staff members daily. So it is a significant program in terms of size and scope. And then the expanded learning department that Ms. Sipes oversees, we made a structural shift to increasingly align it. It used to be in student support and health student learning support services, I apologize. That's now SIS, it's School Improvement Supports Department, and it's now directly aligned with elementary and secondary education. And Mr. Murray and Dr. Graywall work directly with myself and Ms. Sipes so that these programs are completely and seamlessly integrated into our schools. And with that, we are happy to provide responses to any questions that you may have.
So thank you for the presentation. I'd like to call on Ms. Nguyen.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I do just have one question, and I noticed that throughout the presentation, we discussed, earmarking funds to increase VAPA options within the programs we have. But currently, do you guys know off the top of your mind what VAPA enrichment options are already available to students?
We do. Every program has enrichment offerings, and they offer a variety. So, for example, we have violin lessons that are starting at Charles Mack Elementary School. We have choir. We have ceramics that's happening at 2 of our school sites. We have different types of physical art media. We also have dance. I know hip hop dance is very popular, and we have that at several sites. So there's a variety. In addition to those VAPA offerings, there may also be other options, like, let's say, culinary is another popular choice. And in most cases, students have the choice of what enrichment they would like to attend, and so they can self-select.
Okay, that is all I have. Thank you so much.
Ms. Jamerson?
Thank you so much for the presentation. A couple of questions going off, if I know we talked about VAPA a lot. we didn't mention STEM or STEAM. Are those also included, but just not outlined in the presentation?
They are also included. The governor's budget actually earmarked specifically funds for VAPA. But a few years ago, we actually created we call it CREST. It's Capital Region Engineering, Science and Technology. And we have regional competitions that are held at the high school level for our elementary students. And we currently have that operating at 24 schools. And we intend to continue that opportunity. So it gives students the opportunity to learn about the engineering design process, and they do hands-on project-based learning tasks. And then they have the opportunity to problem solve, scientific method, all of those types of things. And then they actually there's two competitions that we had prior to COVID. And then during COVID, we did virtual competitions. And so we're hoping that next year we'll be able to bring back those in-person competitions.
Perfect, thank you. I did have a question going back to slide 7, talking about the 50%, being able to provide 50% access for 50% students. Is there a minimum? So say we're providing this access, but we have a smaller amount of students. Is there a time where we wouldn't offer it because not enough students are enrolled?
It's looking at the overall district number.
Okay.
And so to give you a feel, the number of students that we have that qualify right now in TK through 6 is about 18,000 students. So we would be talking about trying to serve at least 9,000 students per day. It's actually in the audit guide. The audit guide hasn't been released, but the items that they have shared, one is, are there days that you failed to operate? And the other is, are there students you failed to serve? And so we would be targeting to serve at least those 9,000 students, that's when it's fully funded, which is by 2025. So sooner if the funding comes sooner, but we still have to build the programs and staff them. So as of right now, our ACES programs serve about 3,200 students a day, and that's only at a third of our schools. So mathematically, it makes sense that we would be able to reach the 9,000.
Right.
And of course, that would be our target. And some of our ACES programs do have wait lists right now. So we would not have to have wait lists anymore. We would be able to take all of the students who are eligible who want to attend.
Perfect, thank you. And those are all my questions. Thank you.
Mr. Perez.
On your BC 187, it states that this is a third of a series of communications related to development and board approval of this program. But, and I look back at my paperwork, presently I only have 2. So last board meeting and this one. So what was the third one?
We'll go back and we'll check on that.
Okay, please, because
we'll double check. I believe that there was one prior to that, but we'll check.
Okay,
Mr.
yes,
Perez, to make
because-
sure that you've got everything.
all right, good. And okay. I'm glad you stated that we will take adequate time to ensure that the Board of Education and the public are understanding of this program. It's a very important program, and we do need, like LCFF, community support and understanding what we're doing. And as a result of this, I see big progress in our students because of the loss of learning that they had during this epidemic, but we need to get them back in the classroom more hours, and this is what's going to happen with this program. That's the intent, to catch up. And you mentioned it's open-ended format. Yes and no, but because what I mean by that, do we have an open internet distance learning program? Because it needs to be open to these students that are going to be responsible to, as soon as that bell rings, they have to go home. And there's situations where they babysit their younger, siblings or whatever, or they have chores around the house. Are we flexible to do maybe distance learning? Because the fact that the way I say this, because I seen that at the website, there's like 7 or 8 strategies. And we're using an old strategy, ACEs, and I like to see more reported outcomes of ACEs. And you mentioned it started in such and such time. We need to see that data set where ACEs program improved the students' educational outcomes through that period that when we started in day one, and through the epidemic, we know that they lost learning achievement and this and that. So I need to see more data sets presented to the board to make decisions based on data. So that's what I'm thinking when I saw that. Was there any exploratory possibilities of using those other strategies that they mentioned on the web page?
Well, this funding for part of your question, this funding is for in-person programs.
Right.
So we don't have the option of doing a distance learning program for students who need to go home after school. It would only be for in-person offerings.
Yes, but okay, can they take Chromebooks home? If it's face-to-face, if they do their 9 hours, can they on Saturday and Sunday work on the program? Or day off?
This program is providing in-person services only.
Only,
we
okay.
Be able to offer additional online resources for students in that respect.
Okay.
Although within the program, they would have access to Chromebooks and coding and technology and things like that if they attended.
Okay. Let's get back to the questions on the presentation. One thing that you mentioned someplace in the presentation, you mentioned that we're going to make a decision at the next board meeting at the consent. Why can't we just put it on another discussion item, discuss it, then vote yay or nay versus what do you call just coming up or probably what would probably pull that would discuss more items. So I was wondering, why did you choose to put it on the consent item versus having this, put it on that other, the same level that we had tonight?
The process that we used is, and it's certainly with any consent,
Right.
obviously agenda item, it
Mhm.
can be pulled and discussed. It was purely based on the series of steps that we've taken. Our thinking was getting the information to the board well in advance so you have ample opportunity to see it. So you received it in your packets on Friday. There's 2 weeks where you could discuss it with staff. And because it's posted, our folks can have opportunities for feedback. Should we get information from the board or the community that would warrant us to potentially shift the plan, we would have ample opportunity to do that, notify the board of that. And when it goes on consent, it was purely based on our thinking that the board would have enough information at that point. But should there be a need to ask additional questions, we'd certainly be available and here to do
Yeah,
that.
but to me, it seemed like you already jumped to the conclusion that the community will not commit or give comments, and and you're not coming back and sitting or standing where you're at today and telling us what the community would want and others that are put input, but it's put on the consent item without any particular discussion, like we're doing or talk, or you're doing another presentation.
I believe too, yeah, Mr. Hoffman, I'll let you go next, but I just wanted to reinstate that I know we're on a timeline here with this grant. And as we talked about before, it was rolling out kind of as the train's moving along. So we have the week scheduled for feedback, as he mentioned previously, but we're not required by law to get the feedback. That's my understanding too on the grant.
That's
But we're doing the extra due diligence and the extra step to get community feedback. And then he just mentioned at that time, if there is any changes, he will notify to the board or any of the feedback that was received from the survey. And I'll let Mr. Hoffman add his comment.
Yeah, that's all accurate. So I appreciate Dr. Larry. The other piece, Mr. President, is just the board's time with regards to budgets coming. There's another, as we get into the second meeting in May, and then the two meetings in June, LCAP's coming, budget's coming. And so the agenda is going to fill back up. And that's why we wanted to get this information out to the board in two meetings, before the end of May and June comes, just because things are going to get stacked up. But if there's a need to do it as a presentation, we can certainly do it. And we'll just kind of play it by ear as we get feedback.
That's what I was thinking about, because not only are the parents and the community out there, we also have to deal with the partnerships that we're going to establish, and they might have some say-so or input about, what they could do or not do through this.
Right. So we'll do a
program.
follow-up BC.
Okay.
It looks like we're in pretty good shape. People understand where we are and are comfortable. Our recommendation would be to go ahead and go with consent. If we want to do something that's more, because we got more feedback and we want to make sure everyone's aware of it, we can go that way as well.
Okay, so I didn't see no actual, you said that we have a timetable, but I don't see no date or time that we need to submit this back to the state. What's the date? What's the date in which we need to send this, the plan back?
We can't spend any of the money until we have board approval of our plan. And our hope is to start the programs for the 22-23 school year. So we're looking at a July start date for our year-round schools.
Right.
And we're gonna need to hire people. So if we can get the board to give us the approval in May, that gives us time to start, get the plan to the state.
By July.
Yeah, and begin the hiring processes.
Yeah, I seen that over here someplace in July. The other one I was concerned about, hands-on engagement learning. Okay, you kind of answered that. That was on page 5. I was wondering through hands-on, what do you mean by hands-on, page 5?
So the programs are designed to be complementary to what happens in the regular school day, but not an exact replica. So sometimes maybe we will do a science experiment that they didn't have time to do during the regular day, or we might do spoken word instead of a writing activity. And so students are engaging with content and with their education, but in a way that's engaging, project-based, and fun.
Okay, and on page 6, again, it says that programs are pupil-centered, result-driven. That's very important to me. I like to see some results, but I think within the plan, I didn't. There's no quarterly reports or yearly reports or bi-yearly reports. Is that so, or are we going to be producing more reports and outcomes regarding the students?
The plan does call for a continuous quality improvement process.
Right, I saw that in the legislation intent, but when I looked at all these pages, it was really hard.
Yeah.
Okay, in fact, I had to copy and paste it to Word. And so I have it here. I might share it with my fellow staff here. Board members. So I'm concerned about that. The community partners, how they are going to be in our educational institutions throughout our district. And I'd like to see some outcome studies, because these other programs that we funded just recently, there was no accountability. And either side, we were taking accountability of outcomes through the program. Neither was we put on the contract language. They didn't have that. So, but that was discussed.
It's not in the plan, but
Right.
we do report out
Right.
data to the state, including annual outcome-based data, annual performance reviews, attendance data, physical data. So there is reporting and accountability to the state.
Right. Well, the next one, you mentioned what two programs, the STEM and what?
STEAM.
And STEAM, yeah. It's also very important that our students get more experience and knowledge in programming and coding and this and that, because that's going to be the future of our community industry. We need a Silicon Valley here in Elk Grove. We have the Apple factory over here down the street, but yet we're going to have more scientific requirements. When we need more engineers within, within the whole United States, it's a matter of national security. As far as I'm concerned, we need to produce more engineers. So we need some curriculum of study and support at an early age, and these programs. And also, I understand that we've got this new funding, but no, as of today, nobody has 25th Century Jobs program. That's an excellent program, and congratulate the staff for getting that money and inserting it as a partnership to this overall project. It's an excellent idea. I want to say that also. On page 5, you said foster youth, and in other places you had homeless, and I like to see the homeless in that little blue box. Don't forget the homeless, they're out there. And then page 10, I'm over here, lowest income communities. I've seen a new report through the census where they have designated low income areas throughout the whole United States, and they have a database on California where they designate the lowest income poverty areas and incomes. Please research that, have the data people to do that, and they will realize that area 1 and 3 are highly high poverty areas, and that that should be like they said, determined that it could be the areas that we need more expansion of services for sure, because a lot of low income people over here. I'm glad to hear that 75 BAPA. That's a great, and I hope to see a mariachi group, an Asian music group, and a Native American music group develop with these fundings, because we have very talented students that we see every graduation ceremony, and they present during the graduation ceremony, and they need to be at the forefront and develop more people to be on these talent shows on TV. I'm amazed of our students' talent within the music industry and drama and so and so. I don't really agree that program standards align with the after-school education safety ACES program. I like to see more, what do you call it, innovative other strategies in this program. I've seen ACES work, but I'm not very happy with it. I need to be stronger and more outcomes with the reporting and how these kids are improving.
And it's not, it isn't our determination and our decision. That's the way that this funding has been designed. It's been designed to be based upon the ACES programs because they've been successful. But to your point, it's to take those and move them forward,
right?
Move them beyond.
But like I said earlier, I think there's other strategies we could use with ACES, but not ACES is the only thing that seems like we're just using ACES because we have ACES. We developed that, but I'm pretty sure there's other strategies that we could develop. Again, on page 13, we need data collection to support quality improvement process. Excellent remark there. I support that 100%.
If you can please finish your comments, Mr. Perez. I just know we have some more board members that will be making comments as well.
Okay, I only have about 3 pages. Here's a 14. Additional support for school sites. Vice principals oversee school programs can be funded to this program. This will allow integration of after-school programs with regular day. Very excellent. It will enable district to continue to fund and in some cases increase the school administration beyond this ESSER funding. We are going to hire administrators. I want to make sure that you hire administrators and more people of color in this setting, because it's just the other day I seen a study on TV. They quoted that the more people of color, the more graduation rates you got. It increases for everyone. You have 34% graduation rates. So I'm very I want to see people of color as administrators in this and be in these programs in which they could get upper mobility as a teacher and all that stuff, because they would be good role models. I want to say that hire people of color in this type of setting, because students tend to produce more and they're, they have something in common culturally and linguistically. And so you said that in a thing, and you left out linguistic competence in some of the reports. But again, yeah, I guess in this one over here, you left that out. But I'm very, would want you and staff and Mr. Hoffman to make sure that they have administrators in training, like the training program we have for administrators, teachers who transition to administrators, be involved with this, get this experience, being with these high-risk youth and pushing them to accomplish, the goals of this project, and make sure they're there after school. The only thing I worry about it is these kids want to leave and go home. So I'm not sure if, we have the incentives, in place, or have them to be in that type of setting after school.
Yeah, one of the incentives is moms and dads want them there.
Well, exactly. I mean,
that's part of the big work, is working with the families.
Exactly. That's the only thing I would not see, because, we're doing, hopefully, one thing I'm concerned, it's not babysitting, it's educational thing. That's what I'm concerned. So if we produce things and we see good results within 3 months, the better my fellow board members will be, and the whole community and the legislators to fund this later. That's it. Thank you. Thank you for the extra time.
Mr. Yang.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you for the presentation. Anytime we have expanded learning opportunities program for students, it's always music to the ears for me. And I just wanted to know, and for the public to know as well, how do we anticipate to get participations from the students?
Aaron can best reply to that, because it's part of the work that we've been doing, and with the expanded opportunities. So Aaron?
One of the ways that we're going to try to get the word out to families is for those students who qualify as unduplicated, when they turn in a free and reduced price meal form and they get the letter in the mail from Food and Nutrition Services that says that they qualify, we're going to put a flyer in there that says you are also eligible for this free program opportunity at your school site. For our English learners, when they are mailing out the LPAC scores every year, we're going to make sure that there's included in that a notification to let the families know that this is an opportunity for those students. And for our students who are foster or homeless, when they register with us and that notation is made on their record, we're going to make sure that that opportunity is shared with them. So part of our job is to make sure that people know about it. And then the other piece of it is we use all of the same resources to contact families that our school sites do. So we use like the Talking Points app, and we use Synergy Mail and all of those things to make sure that our school communities are aware that the program exists. And then of course, the best advertisement we have is happy kids on campus that, talk about it to their friends and share their experiences and want to go back. So that's our goal.
Thank you. I just wanted, to advocate the fact that, the homelessness kid and the disadvantaged community in general, a lot of time they are, I wouldn't say refuse, but I think it's important to be extra. I guess we should make extra effort to reach out to them, maybe, even double check on them to get participations. Foster kids, homelessness kids. I think they probably need help the most. So, yeah, I just want to make sure that we continue to make any adjustment as need to get involvement, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how great of the programs are, but if we don't have participation, then it means very little. So thank you for the work.
And if I could, just a quick comment, and that is, while Erin certainly has tremendous programmatic knowledge and experience doing this, she's also closely connected, and that's the whole education services and schools network that we have, because in student support and health services, our administrators and staff that work with our foster youth and homeless are directly connected with Erin. And so those networks of communication are all tapped into. So your point's well taken, sir.
Thank you.
Also, our existing ACEs programs that we're going to be replicating, we do not put any students who are experiencing homelessness or who are in foster care on a wait list. We always give them priority enrollment, and so they can enroll at any time, even if a lot of those families tend to be transient, and so they would come mid-year and there may not be space in the program. We will open up another space if we need to, and we allow those students in. Mr. Forcina.
I don't have any questions. Last time we discussed this, I said the proof's in the pudding, and Tony tonight again talked about data. Certainly what I see is an attempt to provide a quality program, and I see it as one more attempt at, in a sense, throwing money at a problem when we all know that money fixes nothing. What I will be waiting for is to see the data. Did it make any difference? And we'll know that when we see the performance data, because at the end of the day, it's the only thing that counts. Did we move the needle? If we did, terrific. If we didn't, then it was a whole lot of effort and expense that certainly might not be at the level you would like it at. So I will be patient, and I will wait for the data, and the data that correlates this effort with our other efforts, so that we can hopefully be in a position to know what of the myriad of things we do makes a difference. Thank you.
So lastly, my comments, I'd just like to thank you for the presentation tonight. You know, I as well will be looking for the outcomes, but I think some families would be happy once some programs are approved, given that we are going to be changing some of the schedules on campuses at different sites. I also had questions around the TK, because I did know that like there was a daily schedule that was attached to the plan from like 7 to 3 for TKs. And for me, that littler age group, sometimes that can be a very long day if that's what the expectation is. So I just, you know, have some of those questions as a parent myself in the back of my mind, like what would that look like? And then knowing that there will be the option for those that maybe not qualify, but could have a sliding fee or some sort to still participate if they would like to, those families. So again, I feel like there's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of potential here. And then when we look at employing more than 500 staff, I have to say recruitment is key. Going back to an earlier comment, I know the goal of diversity is one that's well in all our minds, and even at our site when we're looking at the HR. And I know the district has a plan rolling out for that. And later in the future meetings, that will be an item that's brought back to us as a board. So as my fellow colleagues mentioned, we'll be looking for a program, but one, again, that produces the outcomes, and hopefully many students and families can gain and benefit for the different types of services before school and after school. So I'm hopeful, and I feel like it's an exciting time, but just want to make sure it's something we can sustain over the years. I know it's 2025, but just looking on outward, how many more years from now, from that point, 10, 5, what are we looking at? So those are just my questions I pose for the future, but thank you so much for the presentation tonight.
Thank you, ma'am.
The next item is the board member reports. Mr. Yang.
Yeah. I just want to report back that I have the opportunity to visit some high schools and
It's not a committee report.
what is that?
That is not a committee report.
But we didn't have an update area, like under the other feature items. He wouldn't be able to discuss that as feature
Well,
item.
if
Yeah.
you want to change format, I don't have any problem. I'm just saying that we are
Organization
not
and com-
sticking to the agenda if we talk about site visitations,
Well, I was just gonna.
not a committee report.
Okay.
It's simple. We have a handbook.
We can possibly go back over at a future item where we can give that kind of update or information. We'll look at that
We,
down the
we,
road.
we had long, and we can do this again. We had very, very, very long discussions about board member visitations. The staff and audience, such as it is, we generally don't have many, don't need to be bored with the fact that we did our job. Our job, it's expected that we visit school sites. I don't need to pound on my chest and share to everybody. I went to 10 schools last week. Big deal. That's why we eliminated it. And we said that board member reports would be held to those that were associated with committee work. If you want to go back and revisit it, we can go back and revisit it, or we are
Do that
wasting
In the
time.
future.
I'd like to make a comment on regard to
Right, Mr.
Mr. Facina just comment that, well, for me, I haven't been in that discussion, maybe because I'm a new board. So it's not a way of pounding, our chest, telling, the community or whoever that is attending the meeting, that we are very active. To me, it's another form of communicating to the listener out there that our schools have programs or things that provide to the students. And I think that any way that me personally as a board could communicate to the students or the parents, I would love to do so. And again, it's not a form of pounding, my chest or anybody, try to tell people how active we are. And so it's not that kind of platform, in my opinion, but obviously this type of platform has been discussed prior to my seat. So yeah, we could revisit some other time.
Yeah, what we agreed to was that if board members had a need to enter into the minutes the sites that they visited or the activities they participated in, that they were to give a list of that to Ludi, and Ludi would be sure that those were transcribed. And again, it was not to infringe upon people's time, just sharing the things that we did.
And even a future item like could be a BC that went out to the board, just like if they're aware of a program at a site, we could also have a BC sent out to all of us. A communication would be helpful. Mr. Hoffman.
I'll be very quick. I do want to make sure the board is aware that we are awaiting the May revision from the governor's office. There's a great deal of work going on. The Senate released their version of what they would like to see in the budget. We're expecting any day the same thing from the Assembly side of the House. And so we'll see that. And then the governor, then the big negotiation happens from there. I will be sitting on a panel on Thursday with several state legislators as well as a couple of media sources, I believe, and just talking about the realities of LCFF and what kinds of things we would be able to do with dollars directed to the school districts in a way that provide for local control. So I'll be doing that on Thursday. I just wanted people to be aware. And that piece I just want to say very quickly was thank you to the board. As you know, and this is one of those weeks, we're out almost every night covering all of the amazing award ceremonies and things that are going on this time of year. And it's a great opportunity to celebrate our kids and our staff. And I appreciate the entire board being part of that process and helping. It makes a big heavy load a little easier to lift when everybody's on board. So to my staff and team that are participating as well, I appreciate it. I want to make sure the board is aware. Thank you.
I have Ms. Jamerson as well.
I was just going to report on the PI meeting. We were able to, the district, I know that we are committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we talk about that in at our school sites, in our curriculum with our students, but the PI group was able to take a look at the diversity statement that was created for HR and was able to approve that, and it is now posted on the website. So everyone had an opportunity to provide input into that diversity statement.
I had one committee report, met with CSBA, and they will be having their delegate assembly coming up in a few weeks. So I know we have a few members on the board who are part of that as well. So we will be, I think it's around May 20th, will be in the next meeting. And sometimes they ask the school districts to present information. So I'm sure we'll be in communication if CSBA would like further information. Any other reports? Seeing none. Any consideration of future agenda items? And I'd like to adjourn this meeting at 7:56. Thank you.